In the heart of the bustling city, known for its dimly lit taverns and the thrill of chance, lived a notorious gambler named Victor. With a reputation as sharp as his wit, he was a man who thrived on the adrenaline of high stakes. Victor's dark eyes sparkled with mischief, and he wore a crooked smile that hinted at countless victories, as well as a few narrow escapes. Victor was not just another gambler. He was a legend among his peers. Tales of his daring bets spread like wildfire, from risking his last coin to challenging the most skilled players in town. He had an uncanny ability to read people, sensing their fears and weaknesses, which only added to his growing notoriety. Some whispered that he had luck on his side, while others believed he made deals with shadows. His charm could light up a room, yet there was a darkness lurking beneath the surface, a hint that Victor danced too close to danger. For him, the thrill of the game wasn't merely about winning. It was about living on the edge. As he strode through the smoky rooms filled with laughter and tension, Victor was always looking for the next challenge, unaware that fate was preparing a role of its own that would change everything. One rainy evening, after an especially thrilling night at the tavern, Victor decided to take a shortcut through a dimly lit alley. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and distant laughter, but something about this alley felt different. Shadows flickered against the walls as he walked, and the silence seemed to whisper secrets he couldn't quite comprehend. Suddenly, a strange figure emerged from the darkness. Cloaked in tattered garments and adorned with trinkets that jingled softly, the figure had an air of mystery about him. "Victor," the figure said in a raspy voice, "I've been waiting for you." His eyes glinted like coins in the moonlight. Without waiting for a response, he revealed a small velvet pouch and opened it to unveil a set of intricately carved dice, shining ominously. "They are not ordinary dice," the figure cautioned, his tone serious. "These have been fashioned from the bones of a thief who met a grim fate. Roll them, and you may find your luck changes, but be mindful. With each roll, you'll hear his name spoken, echoing from beyond." Intrigued yet wary, Victor felt a thrill run down his spine. Could these cursed dice truly hold the key to even greater fortune? The allure was tempting, but so were the whispers of warning that wrapped around him like fog. The strange figure's warning lingered in Victor's mind as he gazed at the dice. He couldn't help but wonder about the man whose bones had been used to create them. The legend of the thief, known as Reeve, was one whispered in hushed tones across taverns and marketplaces. Reeve was notorious for his cunning heists and unmatched skill at evading capture. He could slip through shadows and vanish before anyone could catch him, earning both fear and admiration from those who heard of his exploits. But Reeve's luck ran out one fateful night when he attempted to steal from a powerful warlord. The warlord, enraged by the theft, sent his men after Reeve. In a desperate escape, the thief met a tragic end, cornered in a dark alley not unlike the one Victor now stood in. As legend had it, Reeve's spirit was forever tied to the bones that formed the very dice before him. Some believed that rolling these dice could summon Reeve's spirit, granting unparalleled luck but demanding respect for the grave price of his life. Others claimed that they were cursed, bringing misfortune to those who dared to use them thoughtlessly. As Victor contemplated this dark history, his heart raced with excitement and fear. Was he ready to take on this ghostly gamble? With the carved dice nestled in his palm, Victor found himself in a quiet corner of the bustling tavern. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, making him feel as though eyes were watching from every darkened crevice. His heart raced with anticipation and dread, the weight of Reeve's legend heavy on his mind. Taking a deep breath, he rolled the dice across the table. As they tumbled and clinked against the wood, an unsettling sound filled the air, a haunting echo of the name Reeve, spoken with a mixture of reverence and warning. The name seemed to hang in the atmosphere, sending chills down Victor's spine. The dice finally came to rest, displaying an unusual combination that stirred a sense of excitement within him. Thrill surged through his body, but it was intertwined with an undeniable fear. What if he had just awakened something he could not control? As whispers around him faded, it felt as though time stood still, and he could sense the spirit of the thief lingering at the edge of his consciousness. In that moment, beneath the cheers and laughter of fellow gamblers, Victor became acutely aware of a new reality. These dice held power beyond mere chance. A thrill coursed through him as he contemplated what victory might bring, or what darkness might follow. As the days passed, Victor's luck skyrocketed. With every roll of the dice, he found himself winning more than ever before, raking in coins and admiration from those around him. Each victory felt exhilarating, as if Reeves' spirit was guiding him through the games. The once humble gambler now walked with a swagger, his confidence soaring with each successful bet. Word of Victor's winning streak spread like wildfire throughout the gambling community. Fellow players who once eyed him with skepticism now looked at him with a mix of envy and fear. Many whispered that he had struck a deal with the dead thief, while others simply dismissed it as luck. But Victor knew better. He believed the dice were enchanted, their power granting him a fortune he had only dreamed of. However, this newfound confidence began to shift the dynamics of his relationships. Friends who once celebrated his successes now felt overshadowed by his streak. Some grew resentful, while others sought to challenge him, hoping to break his winning run. Victor reveled in the attention but remained blissfully unaware of how quickly jealousy could turn into danger. With each gamble, Victor's thirst for more increased, blinding him to potential risks. The thrill of winning consumed him, leaving a growing darkness lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for its moment to emerge. As Victor's winning streak continued, the atmosphere in the gambling den shifted. The once jovial camaraderie gave way to whispers and glances filled with suspicion. Players who had once cheered for his success now eyed him warily, their smiles strained and forced. Jealousy simmered just beneath the surface, creating a tension that crackled in the air like a brewing storm. Among the regulars was a seasoned gambler named Marcus, who had lost substantial coins to Victor over the past few weeks. As Victor flaunted his winnings, Marcus felt humiliation mixing with anger. He began spreading rumors about the enchanted dice, suggesting that Victor's luck was not merely chance but a dark bargain with forces beyond comprehension. This only fueled the chatter, as other gamblers started to question Victor's integrity and the source of his inexplicable luck. The stakes grew higher during each game as rivalries intensified. Players began to take risks they would normally avoid, hoping to dethrone Victor from his winning throne. The excitement of gambling slipped into something darker, where eyes glinted with resentment and motives turned suspicious. Victor remained blissfully unaware of the rising tide against him, too consumed by his victories to notice how quickly admiration was morphing into hostility. The thrill of winning obscured the danger lurking just out of sight, setting the stage for an inevitable confrontation that could change everything. As Victor continued to gamble, he began experiencing unsettling phenomena that stirred his confidence into doubt. Late at night, when the tavern was quiet and shadows danced along the walls, he would hear faint whispers echoing in his mind. At first, they were indistinct murmurs, but gradually they sharpened into words, fragments of a life lived in darkness. "Reeve," the voice would call, and Victor could almost feel the chill of the thief's breath on the back of his neck. He started to see fleeting visions, images of a man darting through alleyways, clutching stolen treasures, his eyes filled with both thrill and desperation. These glimpses into Reeves' past felt vivid and real, as if the spirit of the thief was trying to communicate something important. Victor found himself questioning his own luck and choices. Was he merely a pawn in Reeves' game, guided by forces beyond his control? Each roll of the dice became more fraught with tension. The thrill of winning was now laced with dread. He couldn't shake the feeling that every victory was accompanied by a silent price, and he was left to wonder how long he could ride this wave of fortune before it crashed. The haunting whispers grew louder and more insistent, urging him to confront the truth behind the dice and the legacy of the man whose bones they were carved from. It was a shadowy path leading him toward an inevitable reckoning. One fateful night, as Victor sat alone in a back corner of the tavern, he was approached by an elderly woman, her eyes glimmering with recognition. "You have those dice, don't you?" she asked, her voice trembling. Victor felt a shiver travel down his spine. He glanced at the dice resting on the table, as if they held all the secrets of Reeves' past. The woman introduced herself as Miriam, an old friend of Reeve. She began to tell Victor stories of the thief's life, how he started as a desperate street kid surviving on scraps, and how his keen wit and agility earned him a reputation among the city's elite and underbelly alike. But with each grand heist came the overshadowing threat of capture. She revealed that Reeve had been driven by more than just greed. He sought liberation from a life steeped in poverty and pain. Yet the thrill quickly turned sour, leading to betrayals and unfortunate choices that ultimately led him to his tragic end. As she spoke, images flooded Victor's mind. Tricks, traps, and fleeting dreams that echoed Reeve's struggles. Miriam's words struck a chord within him. Could he be repeating Reeve's mistakes? The deeper Victor delved into this history, the more intertwined their fates seemed to be. Each roll of the dice now felt less like a game and more like a chance to unravel a destiny shared between gambler and thief. The night of the final bet arrived, and the atmosphere in the gambling den crackled with tension. Victor sat at the center table, surrounded by a circle of wary but eager faces. The stakes had never been higher. He was offered a chance to gamble everything he had won, along with a portion of his opponent's fortunes. The lure of glory was strong, but so were the whispers in his mind, echoing Reeve's warnings about fate and consequence. As the dice lay before him, Victor felt an internal struggle brewing. The thrill of victory had fueled his ego, but he was painfully aware of the darkness that seemed to shadow each win. Could he risk it all on a single roll? Images of Reeve's life flashed through his mind. The excitement, the power, but also the betrayal and tragic ending that followed. Was this fate simply repeating itself? He glanced around at the hardened faces of his opponents. Each one seemed to sense his hesitation. They were hungry for blood, ready to challenge him if he faltered. Victor took a deep breath, gripping the dice tightly. The weight of destiny felt heavy in his hands as he grappled with the choice before him. To embrace the intoxicating allure of victory or heed the warnings that echoed from beyond. In that moment, everything was at stake. His fortune, his reputation, and perhaps even his very soul. The room fell into a heavy silence as Victor raised the dice, tension crackling in the air like an impending storm. All eyes were fixed on him, breaths held in anticipation. The stakes were unfathomable. Not just his fortune, but his very soul felt intertwined with this moment. He could almost hear Reeve's name whispering through the tavern, a specter hovering over his fate. With one swift motion, he cast the dice onto the table, watching as they tumbled and danced across the surface. "Reeve!" echoed throughout the room, reverberating off the walls like a ghostly chant. The sound sent chills down Victor's spine, reminding him of all he had learned about the thief's tragic end. As the dice finally came to a stop, time seemed to freeze. His heart raced as he leaned closer to see their final positions. The outcome would determine everything. A mixture of hope and dread filled his chest as he held his breath. Victory could mean endless glory, but loss might plunge him into despair. Then, to his astonishment, he saw the combination. It was a win beyond measure. Cheers erupted around him, yet an unsettling feeling bloomed within Victor's chest. The thrill of victory quickly twisted into fear as he realized that achieving what he desired might come with an unforeseen cost. In that instant, he understood that Reeve's legacy was not merely about winning or losing. It was about recognizing how easily one could fall from grace. As revelry filled the air, Victor wondered whether this victory would lead him to freedom or bind him deeper into a fate sealed by the bones of a thief. As the cheers of victory faded into the background, Victor sat alone at the table, the weight of his choices pressing heavily on his chest. The thrill of winning had been intoxicating, but now, in the quiet aftermath, he found himself reflecting on the path that led him here. The echoes of Reeve's name still lingered in his ears, a haunting reminder of the thief's fate intertwined with his own. Victor realized that each roll of those cursed dice had not just determined his fortune, but had also revealed deeper truths about himself. He had been consumed by greed and ambition, blind to the relationships he had strained and the dangers he had invited into his life. In pursuit of glory, he had overlooked the wisdom shared by Miriam and ignored the warnings whispered by Reeve's spirit. He thought about what it meant to truly win, Was it merely about coins and reputation, or was there a greater cost? As he gazed at the dice that had brought him both luck and turmoil, Victor felt a shift within himself. He understood now that gambling could no longer be an escape. It had to be approached with respect and caution. With a resolute breath, he made a choice. It was time to walk away from high-stakes gambling and embrace a life not defined by chance but by thoughtful decisions. Victor stood up, leaving the dice behind as he stepped into a new chapter, one where luck would not rule his fate, but wisdom would guide him forward.